They've always told you, drink milk, eat cheese, build strong bones, stay young. But they never told you that the very same cheese you love, the one you've been told is healthy, could quietly be working against you after 60. Today, millions of people wake up thinking they're doing something right by adding cheese to their breakfast toast or sprinkling it over their evening salad. But the truth is far more complicated, and for older adults, it can be dangerous. The dairy industry spends billions convincing us that cheese is pure, wholesome comfort food. They show smiling families, glowing seniors, strong bones. But behind that image lies something most doctors never talk about. Not all cheeses are created equal, and some of them can actually speed up aging, raise your blood pressure, damage your gut, and even cloud your memory. This isn't scare talk, it's biology. As we age, our metabolism, hormones, and gut microbiome all change, and the way our body handles saturated fats, sodium, and dairy proteins changes too. What felt fine in your 30s or 40s might now be quietly causing inflammation or fluid retention in your 60s or 70s. So in this video, we're revealing the 4 most dangerous cheeses for older adults, the ones experts warn can harm your heart, brain, or gut. And later, we'll flip the story, the 4 cheeses you actually should eat to protect your memory, strengthen your bones, and calm inflammation naturally. Stay until the end, because that contrast could change the way you eat forever. And before we start, tell us in the comments, what cheese do you eat most often? Have you ever noticed bloating, fatigue, or brain fog after eating it? You'll be surprised how many people feel the same and never connect it to cheese. Number 4. Cottage cheese, the healthy illusion. At first glance, cottage cheese seems harmless. It's light, packed with protein, and often recommended in weight loss after 50 plans. But here's what few people realize. The average cup of cottage cheese contains nearly a gram of sodium, and that's before you even add anything else to it. Why is that a problem? Because as we age, our kidneys become less efficient at flushing out excess salt. Sodium pulls water into your bloodstream, raising your blood pressure and putting extra strain on your heart. If you're already dealing with hypertension, which half of adults over 60 are, even small daily doses of high-sodium foods can quietly push your pressure higher. You won't feel it right away. You'll just notice your ankles swelling, your fingers feeling stiff in the morning, or that tired, foggy feeling after meals. Many seniors start their mornings with a bowl of cottage cheese thinking they're doing something healthy, but their blood pressure tells another story. Imagine Sylvia, a 71-year-old retired teacher. Every night she'd have a few spoonfuls of cottage cheese before bed, for the calcium, she'd say. But over time, she noticed puffy eyes, mild dizziness, and fatigue. Her doctor adjusted her blood pressure medication twice. No one thought to question the cottage cheese until a nutritionist pointed out her daily sodium load. She switched to a low-sodium ricotta, and within a month, her swelling vanished and her energy returned. It's not that cottage cheese itself is evil. It's that most versions on store shelves are designed for taste, not health. They're packed with salt, stabilizers, and gums that make them creamy and addictive. If you love cottage cheese, go for a no-salt added version. Rinse it lightly before serving, and never pair it with other salty foods like smoked salmon or crackers. That combo can double your sodium intake in minutes. Another hidden issue? Casein, the main protein in cottage cheese. It's slow to digest, which can be beneficial, but in some older adults, it can trigger mild inflammation or mucus buildup, especially if the gut lining is already sensitive. So, listen to your body. If you notice post-meal congestion, bloating, or joint stiffness, cottage cheese might be the culprit. Number 3. Pepper jack cheese, the flavor trap. Pepper jack is fun. It's spicy, melty, full of kick. It makes sandwiches exciting again. But for your gut, it can be a disaster. This cheese is usually highly processed, loaded with artificial stabilizers, emulsifiers, and preservatives that help the peppers stay suspended evenly in the cheese. These additives, like sodium phosphate and natamycin, can alter your gut bacteria, especially as you age. Your gut microbiome is like a microscopic rainforest, full of bacteria that help digest food, regulate hormones, and even shape your mood. But when those chemicals in processed cheese disrupt the balance, bad bacteria grow faster. That leads to more gas, constipation, and low-grade inflammation that travels through your bloodstream. You might not even connect the dots, but that afternoon bloat or that sudden feeling of exhaustion could be your gut reacting to processed additives. Frank, a 68-year-old veteran, had no idea his beloved pepper jack sandwiches were the problem. For years, he blamed his bloating on age. He tried fiber pills, probiotics, even cutting carbs, but nothing worked. Once he switched to clean cheese with fresh peppers, the change was almost immediate. Within 2 weeks, his digestion was calmer and his energy returned. Here's the truth. It's not the pepper that hurts you. Fresh peppers are anti-inflammatory. It's the way they're mixed into processed cheese that turns something healthy into a gut-wrecking cocktail. Pepper jack also hides another problem: saturated fat and sodium together. When eaten often, that combination can stiffen arteries and raise LDL cholesterol. As your arteries lose flexibility, your blood pressure rises, and your heart has to push harder. If you crave that kick, make it yourself. Buy real part-skim mozzarella or goat cheese. Slice in fresh jalapenos or red pepper flakes. You'll get the flavor without the chemical chaos. Number 2. Blue cheese. Aged, exotic, and toxic for some. Blue cheese has an allure. Tangy, rich, sophisticated. It's the kind of cheese we associate with fine dining and wine nights. But behind that taste lies a series of biochemical reactions that aren't so gentle on an aging body. Blue cheese is aged using specific mold cultures, mostly Penicillium roqueforti. Those molds produce tyramine, a natural byproduct that can affect how your body regulates blood pressure and brain chemistry. For older adults, especially those on antidepressants or blood pressure medications, tyramine can cause headaches, insomnia, or sudden spikes in pressure. You might feel it as a pounding head after a fancy dinner or restless sleep after eating just a little blue cheese. And there's more. The aging process that gives blue cheese its distinctive marbled look also generates microscopic toxins known as mycotoxins. Normally harmless in small doses, they can build up in people whose liver or immune system is less efficient, which includes most seniors. Over time, this may raise inflammatory markers and oxidative stress, the same mechanisms that accelerate cognitive decline. Judith, a 72-year-old painter, was used to topping her salads with crumbled blue cheese. She loved the flavor until she started getting headaches and light sensitivity. Her neurologist traced it to her diet. When she stopped eating blue cheese and switched to mild goat cheese, her headaches vanished in days. Now, not everyone reacts that way. Some people tolerate aged cheese as well. But as you cross 60, your enzyme systems slow down, your detox capacity decreases, and your inflammatory threshold lowers. That's when these compounds start making a real difference. If you still love blue cheese, keep it an occasional indulgence. Once a week, a small crumble, not daily. And never pair it with red wine or cured meats, since those are also high in tyramine. Another little-known issue is histamine. Aged cheeses like blue and gorgonzola are packed with histamine, which can cause flushing, hives, or fatigue in people who develop histamine intolerance later in life. You might think it's an allergy or stress, but often it's the cheese. So if you ever feel your face get warm or your heartbeat quicken after a fancy meal, it might not be the wine. It might be your blue cheese.
Number 1. American processed cheese, the silent saboteur.
It's in burgers, grilled cheese sandwiches, breakfast melts, and almost every diner in America. That bright orange slice that melts perfectly on your toast? It's the worst kind of trap food for aging bodies. Because American cheese isn't real cheese. It's a processed blend of milk, whey, emulsifiers, artificial color, and preservatives. Technically, it can't even be legally sold as cheese, which is why the label says cheese product or cheese food. Here's why it's dangerous. Each slice contains a heavy dose of sodium and saturated fat, but also emulsifying salts that keep the texture smooth. These compounds can irritate the lining of your gut and cause inflammation that spreads throughout the body. Processed cheese also contains phosphates, which disrupt calcium balance and strain the kidneys. In elder adults, especially those with reduced kidney function, that can speed up bone loss, the exact opposite of what cheese is supposed to do. Walter, a 66-year-old former truck driver, learned this the hard way. Every morning, he made himself 2 grilled cheese sandwiches with American cheese. For years, it was his comfort breakfast. Slowly, his memory started to fade. Missed appointments, misplaced tools, forgetting simple things. His fasting glucose began to rise, and his doctor mentioned early signs of insulin resistance. Once he switched to natural cheddar and reduced his processed cheese intake, his labs improved and so did his focus. That's not coincidence. Research consistently shows that ultra-processed foods, and American cheese sits squarely in that category, are linked with higher rates of metabolic syndrome, cognitive decline, and heart disease. It's the combination of chemicals, refined fats, and lack of real nutrients that make it toxic in the long term. It gives you calories, but no nourishment. If you look at the ingredients list of a typical processed cheese slice, you'll see words like disodium phosphate, sorbic acid, and carrageenan. Those are the same additives used to stabilize cosmetics and industrial products. Your body doesn't recognize them as food. It treats them as intruders. And here's the scary part. Even if you eat just a little every day, the cumulative damage adds up. A few slices a week might not kill you, but they quietly raise inflammation, thicken your blood, and disturb your gut microbes. Want that perfect melt on your sandwich? Use real cheese. Aged cheddar, Swiss, or even provolone will melt beautifully, and you'll know exactly what you're eating. So now that you know the 4 cheeses quietly harming your health, let's flip the story. Because the truth is, not all cheese is bad. In fact, when chosen wisely, cheese can become one of the most powerful longevity foods you'll ever eat. You see, traditional cheese, the kind made from real milk, live cultures, and thyme, is one of humanity's oldest functional foods. Long before supplements and multivitamins, there were fermented dairy foods keeping communities strong well into old age. In Sardinia, Italy, one of the world's famous blue zones, centenarians still eat cheese almost every day, but it's the right kind. Simple, unprocessed, naturally rich in probiotics and essential fats that keep the body and brain resilient. So today, let's explore the 4 healthiest cheeses for older adults, the ones proven to protect your heart, feed your gut, sharpen your mind, and strengthen your bones. These are the cheeses that heal instead of harm.
Number 4. Feta, the heart protector. Salty, crumbly, and deeply satisfying, feta is more than just a Mediterranean flavor booster. It's a heart-healthy powerhouse when eaten the right way. Traditional feta is made from sheep's milk or a blend of sheep and goat milk. That matters because both are lower in saturated fat and higher in anti-inflammatory fatty acids compared to cow's milk. These fats, especially conjugated linoleic acid, CLA, have been linked with improved cholesterol balance and reduced inflammation in older adults. Feta also contains a natural probiotic punch. Those live cultures help your gut digest fats and lactose more efficiently, something many seniors struggle with as their enzyme production slows. Unlike processed cheeses, the bacteria in real feta actually support digestion instead of burdening it. But there's one catch: salt. Most commercial feta is stored in brine, which keeps it fresh but loads it with sodium. To make it heart-friendly, rinse your feta gently under cold water before serving. That single step can cut its sodium content by up to 30%. You still get the flavor, without the blood pressure spike. Here's a powerful bonus. Feta also delivers a surprising dose of vitamin B12 and riboflavin, both critical for nerve health and energy metabolism, nutrients that many older adults unknowingly fall short on. If you want to copy the longevity diet of the Greek islands, use feta the way they do. Crumble a little over steamed vegetables or salads rather than making it the star of the meal. It's a topping, not a slab. That small shift turns feta into a medicinal food rather than a salty indulgence.
Number 3. Goat cheese, the gut's best friend. Now we move to goat cheese. Soft, creamy, slightly tangy, and easier to digest than most cow cheeses. Why? Because goat's milk has smaller fat globules and a different casein structure, making it naturally gentle on the human gut. For older adults who often develop subtle lactose intolerance, goat cheese can feel like a miracle. It gives you the comfort and protein of cheese without the bloating or heaviness that follows cow dairy. But goat cheese isn't just easy on digestion, it's also rich in short and medium-chain fatty acids, which are quickly used by the body for energy instead of being stored as fat. That's a metabolic advantage that becomes more important with age, when the body's calorie-burning efficiency declines. Another benefit lies in its probiotic content. Traditional goat cheeses, especially raw or naturally aged varieties, contain beneficial bacteria like lactobacillus and bifidobacterium. These microorganisms help regulate immune response and inflammation. A balanced gut microbiome has been shown to lower risks of arthritis flare-ups, depression, and even cognitive decline. Let's put a face to this. Marjorie, 69, struggled for years with post-meal bloating. She loved cheese, but thought she had to give it up. Her dietitian suggested switching to soft goat cheese on toast instead of cheddar. Within a week, her bloating eased. Within a month, her energy improved, and she was finally enjoying breakfast again. If you buy goat cheese, look for labels that say, "from grass-fed milk," or "no preservatives." The flavor will be tangier and the health benefits much higher. A drizzle of olive oil, some herbs, and you've got a gut-healing superfood disguised as a treat.
Number 2. Ricotta, the muscle rebuilder. Ricotta often hides quietly at the back of the dairy shelf, but it might be the single most underrated cheese for people over 60. Why? Because it's a recovery food. Gentle, high protein, and full of amino acids your body desperately needs to maintain muscle as you age. Ricotta is technically a whey cheese, meaning it's made from the leftover liquid after other cheeses are produced. That liquid is rich in whey proteins, the same kind athletes use in powders, but in a natural food-based form. Those proteins, especially leucine, signal your body to build and preserve muscle tissue, and that's crucial because after 50, adults lose up to 1% of muscle per year unless they actively replace it. The best part, ricotta is soft, mild, and low in sodium. You can eat it plain, mix it with berries, or spread it on toast for a high-protein breakfast that supports both strength and bone density. Unlike cottage cheese, ricotta isn't aggressively salted or packed with additives. It also provides a healthy dose of calcium and phosphorus in a ratio that the body can actually absorb, meaning the minerals go into your bones rather than floating uselessly in the bloodstream. Think of ricotta as nourishment for your muscles, bones, and brain at the same time. One serving a day can make a visible difference over weeks. Steadier energy, fewer sugar cravings, and better sleep thanks to its natural tryptophan content. For extra benefit, pair ricotta with fruit, like blueberries or sliced pears. The antioxidants in fruit work hand in hand with ricotta's amino acids to repair tissue and combat oxidative stress.
Number 1. Parmesan, the king of them all. The cheese that researchers consistently link with longer, healthier lives, Parmesan, or as it's called in its authentic form, Parmigiano Reggiano. Parmesan is aged for at least a year, sometimes longer. During that process, its proteins break down into smaller peptides, making them extremely digestible, even for people with mild lactose sensitivity. In fact, genuine Parmesan contains virtually no lactose at all. But the benefits go much deeper. Parmesan is rich in bioactive peptides, tiny protein fragments that can actually lower blood pressure naturally by inhibiting enzymes that constrict your arteries. Think of it as nature's mild ACE inhibitor built into your food. It's also dense with calcium, magnesium, zinc, and vitamin K2, a rare combination that not only strengthens bones, but helps shuttle calcium into bone tissue instead of letting it calcify in arteries. That's one reason why populations that eat real aged cheeses often have lower rates of fractures and heart disease. There's another hidden gift. Parmesan is a fermented food. Its live cultures continue to influence your microbiome even after aging. These bacteria help produce compounds that calm inflammation and support immunity, crucial defenses as you age. And then there's the flavor advantage. Because Parmesan is so concentrated, a little goes a long way. You only need a small shaving to get full satisfaction, unlike soft cheeses that invite overeating. Anthony, 73, once struggled with dairy. After cutting out processed cheese and switching to a sprinkle of real Parmesan on his vegetables and soups, his digestion improved and his cholesterol levels actually dropped. He jokes, "I use it like medicine, just tastier." If you're buying Parmesan, look for Parmigiano Reggiano, printed directly on the rind. That's the real deal. Made with nothing but milk, salt, and enzymes. No chemicals, no shortcuts. Grate it fresh, store it tightly, and you'll have a superfood that outlasts almost everything else in your fridge.
Bonus pick: Swiss cheese, the brain booster. Let's add one more, because the research is just too interesting to ignore. Aged Swiss cheese, like Emmental, contains a compound called propionic acid, produced by its fermentation bacteria. Recent studies suggest this compound can protect brain cells from oxidative stress, and they even slow certain neurodegenerative processes. That could explain why moderate cheese eaters in European studies often show better cognitive function in old age rather than worse. The key, again, is moderation and quality, not the rubbery, processed kind, but naturally aged Swiss slices with holes and aroma intact. Pair it with a handful of walnuts and some green apple slices, and you've got a brain-supportive snack that stabilizes blood sugar while feeding beneficial gut bacteria.
How to eat cheese for longevity. Even the healthiest cheese can turn against you if you eat it wrong. Here are the golden rules that nutrition scientists and longevity experts agree on. 1. Choose quality over quantity. 2 thin slices of real cheese from grass-fed milk are worth more than a block of processed, additive-loaded cheese. Your body can tell the difference immediately. 2. Combine cheese with plants. Pair every serving with vegetables or fruit. The fiber and antioxidants in plants help balance the fat and sodium in cheese, lowering its inflammatory impact. 3. Mind your timing. Eat cheese earlier in the day when your digestion is stronger. Avoid heavy dairy right before bed. It can interfere with deep sleep in sensitive individuals. 4. Hydrate. Cheese is dehydrating, especially aged varieties. Older adults already lose thirst sensitivity, so drink extra water whenever you enjoy cheese. 5. Watch portions. The ideal serving is about the size of 2 dice, roughly 25 grams. That's enough to deliver nutrients without overwhelming your digestion.
The science behind the pleasure. Why does cheese feel so comforting? Because it triggers the release of dopamine, the same reward chemical your brain releases during joyful experiences. That's why cheese feels emotionally grounding, especially for older adults living alone or under stress. The key is to let that comfort work with your body, not against it. When you choose natural cheeses rich in beneficial fats and probiotics, that same dopamine release comes with real nourishment, steady mood, improved sleep, and sharper focus. It's emotional wellness backed by nutrition. The takeaway. So here's the big picture. Cheese isn't your enemy, it's your teacher. It shows you the difference between fake satisfaction and real nourishment. Processed cheeses promise instant pleasure, but leave your body inflamed, bloated, and drained. Natural cheeses, aged, cultured, pure, offer long-term energy, better memory, and resilience. If you're over 60, think of every slice as an investment. Will it help your heart? Will it feed your microbiome? Will it support your brain? Because what you eat in your 60s and 70s doesn't just affect your next checkup. It determines how clearly you'll think, how strongly you'll move, and how deeply you'll sleep for years to come. So today, open your fridge and make a promise to yourself. Keep the cheeses that serve your body. Say goodbye to the ones that secretly harm it. And remember, you don't need to give up flavor to gain health. You just need to choose smarter. Because life after 60 isn't about restriction, it's about refinement. About finally understanding what your body's been trying to tell you all along. Next time, we'll go one level deeper. How to rebuild your gut microbiome naturally after years of processed foods and medications, and the role fermented dairy can play in that healing. But for now, take a moment. Grab that piece of real cheese, the kind made by hands, not machines. Let it melt slowly on your tongue. That's not just flavor, that's medicine, disguised as pleasure.